What's up guys, TechLab here. Now in today's video we're going to be taking a look at another case, but this time it is from our friends at Tecware. So this is the Tecware Evo and it is a brand new release. At the time of videoing this, it isn't actually in the stores yet, but it will be soon. So you'll be able to pick one up if you actually want to. For those of you that don't know, the company Tecware, they actually build some pretty decent quality cases and they're always really good prices. And they tend to provide the things that nobody else is doing. During the period where we could only seem to buy full ATX cases, nobody was really making micro ATX cases, they actually continued to supply them at fantastic prices. So it's really good to actually see when they drop something new. What's even cooler about the company is that even though they do provide budget cases, they're unlike others because they don't tend to drop random design cases now and again. They actually tend to release a range or a series of very similar cases, but of different sizes. This one is actually a micro ATX case, and at the same time they're going to be releasing the VXL, which is a much larger ATX version, but this is the one that we opted to look at because we're kind of into building a lot of micro ATX stuff, and I thought it'd be pretty cool to have in the studio. As far as the case goes, it is a very typical fish tank style dual chamber case, and of course in micro ATX, and they've also provided their own kind of fans, but it does come with some little quirks that really make it stand out from the rest. That's another thing that Tecware are pretty good at. Even though the cases are on the budget side, they do tend to have a few premium features. The first thing that we'll take a look at is this glass panel. Now this glass panel is very similar to the previous ones that we've looked at from other brands. It has a black border that runs all the way around, but they kind of miss it out where the pillarless corner is, so you do get this full panoramic kind of view. But then there is actually no screws to kind of undo this. This is actually completely toolless. All you need to do is just take the little tabby at the back, click it forward, and all the little bungs come out and the glass panel will lift out. Inside the case we have lots of space for things. We have a panel here for your up to micro ATX motherboards. You can actually fit an ITX board in there, but unfortunately you can't fit an ATX. You need to go to the VXL for that. We have two placements for fan or radiators in the top and bottom. They will actually fit up to a 360mm in the bottom or a 360mm radiator in the top, which is also three 120mm fans, as well as having the rails for something like 140mm fans, which you'll only be able to fit two in of each. In the back, you do have a 120mm slot, and then in the actual back panel itself, there is a space there for up to a 240mm all-in-one cooler or two 120mm fans. This has got plenty of airflow into this case because of all the mounts that they've got for fans and radiators, but they do actually provide a few fans in it. The fans that they provide in it are Tecware's own, and they're ARGB fans. They're all 120mm, but these ones on the back here are a little bit unique, and that's because they are reverse bladed. That means you can still see the front of the fans for your lighting, but they will actually be drawing air in and not pushing it out the back. That's actually a pretty cool feature. I don't think many case brands are really providing that kind of thing. You tend to just get three fans just thrown in there and you have to reverse them or do whatever you want, so they've clearly thought about that on this case. The rear is pretty standard here, except for the fact that we don't have 5 PCI Express slots, we only have 4, which is fine for a micro ATX board. You just tend to find that this bottom panel here tends to have a 5th one on some other cases, which could help with expansion cards and stuff, but it's not on this case. And unfortunately they are the little peel and break out kind of PCI covers, which is a little bit annoying, but at least on this cover here you do get a little thumb screw, so you can undo the thumb screw and slide that panel back to install your cards. The power supply of course goes in the back because it is a dual chamber case, and then they've got this extra panel here which provides an extra bit of ventilation for things that are actually going behind it, and in this case it is actually things like hard drives and SSDs. The top of this case is pretty standard, although it is lacking a few ports here. We do have a power switch, we have a USB 3 but it's only one, we have a USB 2 again which is only one, and then we have this integrated headphone and microphone jack. I'm never always too keen on that one because you have to have an adapter for your headphones, but usually headphones come with them, so I don't think it's going to really be a problem. Then we have a reset switch and an RGB switch. Now the RGB switch actually controls whatever you kind of plug it into really. There is a little pin header inside the case that you can plug into a controller, or it's actually plugged into the fans themselves because these fans have actually built-in lighting themselves. You can just navigate through different colors and it will give you the basics. As well as that, we have a magnetic dust filter on the top, which is just going to stop the dust from kind of landing in the case. Most people will exhaust from this top panel here, but you can see the different rails for the different fans and radiator configurations here. And then the dust filter just simply drops back on. I do know that quite a few people actually remove these when they're exhausting just to give that bit of extra airflow through the system, but I tend to like to keep them in because I just think it looks a lot better. Now, along with the dust filter on the top, they do provide one on the bottom, but instead of being a magnetic one, which most budget cases come with, they've actually provided something pretty cool, and that is a little slide out tray that comes outside just like that. That will actually give you a dust filtration for the bottom of the case, and it is full length, so it doesn't matter if you've got a full length radiator or all the fans in there, you're going to get some pretty good dust protection from that, and you can always take it out really easily just to clean it. We have looked at cases similar to this in the past, and they tend to come with the magnetic ones, which is really annoying because if you do want to clean that filter, you have to tip the machine up on its end to be able to get to it. So this is actually a much better solution. To remove the back panel, we just need to unscrew these two captive screws and slide it back forward. And as you can see, we have some ventilation in here. This ventilation hole will be used for, of course, the power supply because that is mounted at the back. And then this one at the front actually covers the fans here as well. Now, again, unlike other cases that we've looked at of similar design to this recently, this one actually comes with a very decent amount of space in the back. There's actually enough space in the back of here where these extra fans are to actually install a radiator. You can easily get a radiator in there, even a thick one, to be honest. It's about 40mm worth of gap. And if you can get these cables out the way, which shouldn't be too hard, to be honest, you can just run them that way. You can easily fit a radiator there or a dual fan configuration. That is actually pretty nifty. And then of course you've got plenty of space here for your power supply, which will sit here, and a bit of space here for your cabling. When it comes to actually installing things like SSDs and hard drives, for those of you that do have them separately, you do have this bay that sits across the back here where you can fit up to 3 2.5-inch SSDs, as well as 2 3.5-inch hard drives. That's actually pretty impressive because I've not actually seen a budget case, or a case of this cost anyway, provide that much space for your storage drives. So I think pretty much everybody's covered when they come to installing things into here. Now the real test for any case really is how easy it is to build into. So I'm going to quickly drop a build into this, and then we'll discuss any kind of quirks or anything that actually causes me any issues. Okay, so the build that I actually dropped into this was something that was pretty basic, to be honest. It is our AM5 micro ATX board with a Ryzen 7600 CPU, and I did actually want to test the GPU length in this, so I actually installed a pretty big GPU. This is an RX 6700 XT. It is one from Asus. It's the ROG Strix, so it's a pretty big GPU, and to be honest, it fits perfectly fine. You can actually fit up to a 400 or actually a 401mm GPU in here, and it would fit perfectly fine. So this case has got you covered for all of those great big GPUs out there, so you're gonna be rest assured of that one. It is actually one of the easiest cases that I've ever actually built into. It didn't really take long to do this. It just took about 20 minutes to just knock this whole system up, and the cable management is actually brilliant. In the back there, because of that extra panel at the top, you can actually hide all of the cables away, and you can just route things perfectly fine. There's lots of little hooks and things in the back to be able to pin your cables down. I think this build actually came out fantastic in this case, and to be honest, I think the case has done extremely well too. But then what about the price? So when I said before that Tecware do have some pretty decent prices, this case at the moment, on the information that we have, is actually going to be coming out at around £65. That is an absolute bargain for something built of this quality and for the amount of things that you can fit in it. So I think it's a pretty decent buy for anyone really. I'm actually so impressed with this case. I'm actually going to be using it in an upcoming build. I did actually need a pretty decent quality micro ATX case. It's something a little bit fun, so you guys won't want to miss that. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and I'm sure as always, catch you guys in the next one.